Hello and welcome to Unbuilt Giants, a series that looks at the development and demise of some of history's most notable and sometimes bizarre skyscraper projects. 7 South Dearborn was a bold and visionary skyscraper proposed for downtown Chicago at the turn of the millennium, designed to break records and redefine the city's skyline. Conceived by developer Scott Toberman and architect Adrian Smith of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, the tower was planned to reach 2,000 feet, including its antennae, making it the tallest structure in the world at the time. Its sleek, telescoping form and advanced engineering, featuring a central concrete core with cantilevered floor plates and a stayed mass structural system, reflected a cutting-edge approach to both aesthetics and function. Intended as a mixed-use megastructure housing offices, residences, retail space, and a major communications hub, the project captured the ambitious spirit of late 1990s urban development. But despite receiving city approval and widespread media attention, the tower was never built, ultimately falling victim to financial collapse before construction began. The history of the site goes back to 1902, when a new chapter in Chicago's downtown development began with the completion of the first federal building at 7 South Dearborn Street. Designed by the noted architectural firm Holabird and Roach, the building rose 18 stories and embodied the progressive spirit of early 20th century Chicago architecture. With its sturdy frame and elegant facade, it represented both the confidence and ambition of a rapidly modernizing city. For over 20 years, it served as the headquarters of the Chicago Tribune, placing it firmly within the cultural and media landscape of the city. The building's presence on South Dearborn made it an integral part of Chicago's architectural fabric until it was finally razed in 1999, nearly a century after its construction, to make way for a much more audacious project, a skyscraper that aimed not only to dominate the city's skyline, but to surpass all others in the world. By the late 1990s, Chicago's identity as the birthplace of the skyscraper remained a point of civic pride and architectural distinction. With a skyline already dotted with icons like the John Hancock Center and the Sears Tower, the city was synonymous with vertical innovation. However, in 1997, Chicago experienced a symbolic loss when the title of world's tallest building slipped away. The Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, with their spired peaks, overtook the Sears Tower in official height measurements. Although the Sears Tower remained taller by roof height, the loss stung. It signaled a new global competition in architectural heights and ambitions. In response, there was a renewed hunger in Chicago to reclaim the crown it had held since the 1970s. Enter Scott Toberman, a relatively unknown but bold developer and the CEO of European American Realty Limited. Toberman envisioned a striking new addition to the skyline that would not only reaffirm Chicago's dominance in skyscraper engineering, but would also redefine what a high-rise could be. The project he proposed, situated precisely where the old First Federal Building once stood, was named simply for its address, 7 South Dearborn. It was to be the vertical centerpiece of a revitalized downtown loop, a soaring exclamation point to the city's architectural legacy. In 1999, architect Adrian D. Smith, working with the internationally renowned architectural firm Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, unveiled an ambitious proposal for a super-tall skyscraper that would rise from 7 South Dearborn Street in the dense urban heart of Chicago's Loop. The building's planned height was extraordinary. It would have reached a roof height of 1,567 feet, or approximately 477.6 meters, with 3 towering communication spires extending its pinnacle to a stunning 2,000 feet, or 609.6 meters. If completed as envisioned, it would have held the title of tallest building in the world, a feat that reflected not only engineering ambition, but also civic pride. The tower's program was exceptionally complex and forward-thinking. With a total of 112 floors, the structure was designed to accommodate a hybrid mix of uses that included residential units, commercial office space, telecommunications infrastructure, and extensive parking facilities. At its base, the design included a multi-level retail concourse that would have integrated the building into the street-level fabric of the loop, offering public amenities and commercial services. Above this, 12 full floors were devoted to parking, with capacity for approximately 800 vehicles, an unusual but practical solution in a city where vertical space was becoming increasingly valuable. Rising above the parking levels, 36 floors were planned for office use, totaling around 765,000 square feet of premium commercial real estate, intended to house financial institutions, legal firms, or tech companies. The residential component was no less ambitious. 40 floors would have contained around 360 high-end condominiums, with sweeping views in every direction thanks to the tower's innovative structural design. The uppermost floors were to be dedicated to essential telecommunications equipment, including antennae for broadcast services, as well as mechanical systems, a large tuned mass damper for structural stability, and industrial-scale cooling systems. One of the most remarkable features of the proposed design was its structural innovation. The tower would have relied on a massive, all-concrete central core, a vertical shaft of enormous strength and rigidity that extended from the base to the very top of the structure. From this core, the upper 57 floors would have cantilevered outward by as much as 30 feet in some areas. This unusual design strategy allowed for column-free interiors, significantly increasing usable space and allowing natural light to penetrate deep into the floor plates. Residents and office tenants would have enjoyed floor-to-ceiling windows, 11 feet high on every floor, offering uninterrupted views of Lake Michigan, the Chicago River, and the surrounding skyline. Visually, the tower's form was composed of a series of stacked, recessed volumes, almost like blocks set atop one another. These segments were divided by notched recesses that provided a visual rhythm to the exterior while also serving a functional role in managing wind loads. The notches created ventilation channels that helped reduce wind vortex shedding, a common structural problem in extremely tall buildings. This blend of aesthetics and aerodynamics was one of the tower's defining features. The engineering backbone of the project was a stayed mast structural system, a relatively novel approach at the time, especially for a tower of such unprecedented height. In this system, the building's perimeter columns, widely spaced to create open floor plans, were tied back to the central core using multi-story diagonal trusses. These trusses not only transferred structural loads efficiently, but also reinforced the tower's lateral stability against the tremendous forces exerted by wind and gravity at such altitudes. This structural clarity allowed the tower to remain slender while achieving its record-breaking height. Moreover, the building's design incorporated early sustainability strategies. On the south, east, and west elevations, the spandrel panels were engineered to support photovoltaic cells. This would have enabled the tower to generate a portion of its own electricity, an early attempt at integrating renewable energy into supertall skyscraper design long before such practices became widespread. However, despite receiving unanimous approval from the Chicago City Council in September 1999, a green light that signaled strong political and civic support, the 7 South Dearborn project ran into serious financial headwinds almost immediately. European American Realty Limited had not yet secured the substantial capital required to break ground on what would have been the tallest building in the United States. The project's staggering scale, engineering complexity, and cutting-edge features demanded significant upfront investment, but the funding simply never materialized. Initial enthusiasm from financial backers began to cool as questions arose about the project's feasibility, the volatility of the real estate market, and the long-term revenue potential of a structure so ambitious and untested. The situation grew more precarious in early 2000. A major component of the business model rested on leasing valuable antenna space atop the tower to media companies, a strategy intended to generate consistent, long-term revenue. But by April of that year, those same media firms, facing shifts in the telecommunications landscape and perhaps wary of delays, began to withdraw their commitments. This exodus dealt a critical blow to the already fragile financial plan, stripping away a key revenue stream that Turbulent had used to help justify the towering scale and technological aspirations of the project. Without that backbone, investor confidence plummeted. By mid-2000, the financial unraveling reached a tipping point. Turbulent defaulted on a $22 million mortgage tied to the development, a sum that had helped secure the site and support early-stage costs. The default triggered legal action, and the deed to the property was surrendered to Bank Worms Capital Corporation, the lender. This effectively marked the end of 7 South Dearborn as a viable development. No groundbreaking ceremony ever took place, no steel beams were hoisted into the sky. The plot where the world's tallest building was meant to rise was for the time being just an empty lot again. In the following years, as the economic landscape shifted and Turbulent's grand plans faded into the background, the site passed into more pragmatic hands. The real estate development firm Hines acquired the property and moved forward with a much more restrained and conventional vision. Their new project, 1 South Dearborn, retained the prestigious downtown address but abandoned the audacious vertical ambitions of its predecessor. Completed in 2005, the resulting structure stood just 571 feet tall, less than a third the height of the proposed Skyscraper, but added over 800,000 square feet of functional office space to the city's central business district. Designed by DeStefano and partners, it was sleek, efficient, and elegant in a way that matched the city's evolving architectural tone in the post-9/11 era. It didn't aim to rewrite history, just to serve it well. Even though 7 South Dearborn was never realized, it continues to occupy a place in the architectural imagination. Its design, both technically daring and aesthetically distinctive, remains a compelling artifact of a moment in Chicago's history when ambition ran as high as the skyline itself. It represents the optimism and audacity of the late 1990s, a time when digital technologies, financial speculation, and design innovation converged to create dreams that sometimes outpaced reality. In hindsight, 7 South Dearborn stands as a poignant reminder of how visionary architecture can be undone, not by engineering limits, but by the harsher constraints of economics, timing, and trust. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more episodes coming soon. See you next time.